The Midway Sunset oil field is the largest in California and the third largest in the United States, with much of its land leased by oil companies from the federal government's Bureau of Land Management. Drilled continuously since California's oil rush in the late 1800s, it has produced more than 3 billion barrels of oil, with an estimated 500 million barrels remaining. In December of 2019, the Trump administration ended an 8-year moratorium on the leasing of public lands for drilling in California and opened 1.75 million acres in California's Central Coast and San Joaquin Valley for extraction. Despite more than 90,000 public comments and 600 attendees at public forums, the first 7 parcels of land, totaling 4,333 acres, are set to go up for auction on December 10th. A coalition of community organizations, including the Central California Environmental Justice Network, the Los Padres Forest Watch, the Center for Biological Diversity, and the Sierra Club, have been organizing residents in opposition and have filed suit over the auction. Cassie Siegel is the director of the Climate Law Institute at the Center for Biological Diversity. Her lawsuits on behalf of the organization have been responsible for the 8-year lull in drilling on California public lands.
The Bureau of Land Management can revoke any lease that was improperly issued. So if the Trump administration moves forward with the sale and any oil and gas entity comes in and does purchase some of these lease parcels, we plan to sue over that. And so one way to overturn it is to simply win in court. The Biden administration could also come in and say those leases were improperly issued for any of the grounds that we've laid out. So it's not like that difficult or complicated for the leases to be revoked as they should be.
California has just experienced its worst fire season in history, an unprecedented disaster fueled in large part by human consumption of fossil fuels and climate change. Kern County also has one of the highest asthma rates in the country due to chronic hazardous air pollution exposure, something particularly dangerous in the midst of a global respiratory pandemic. Drilling on public lands accounts for 25% of the nation's carbon dioxide emissions, and an estimated 25% of wells on public lands are fracked, a dangerous combination for nearby residents and land that has high ecological value. Rebecca August, the Director of Advocacy with the Los Padres Forest Watch, a community environmental organization focused on public lands, describes the potential consequences.
Kern County already has horrible air quality, so adding more oil development to that is just a human health crisis. It shouldn't be happening. It also impacts the national parks on the eastern side of the valley. And then, of course, one of the parcels is very close to the edge of Cruza Plain National Monument and land that's proposed for wilderness protection. There's threatened and endangered species that live in the Cruza Plain National Monument. And then there's the Bitter Creek Wildlife Refuge and Windmills Preserve, and those harbor all kinds of wildlife. There's California condor and the kit fox. There's very few intact ecosystems left.
The coalition of community groups holds out hope that the incoming Biden administration will exercise its authority to stop the leasing process. For its part, the campaign has consistently asserted it will end fossil fuel extraction on public lands, something at least partially at odds with other commitments Biden has made to protect fracking. In any case, the organizations are confident in their legal strategy and argue there are several inconsistencies in the Bureau of Land Management's own environmental assessments. A statement from BLM spokesperson Somer Shah said that the leasing itself did not authorize surface disturbances like drilling, and other permits would have to be obtained before doing so. But with a recent audit of the California Geologic Energy Management Division finding hundreds of drilling permits were improperly issued in 2019, there is reason to be wary of the process. Cassie Siegel from the Center for Biological Diversity says opening public lands for fossil fuel extraction would send the world well beyond the emissions threshold that constitutes irreversible climate catastrophe. She says the government holds these lands in trust for the people, something that makes them responsible to the public. But with profound opposition being expressed by local communities, going ahead with the auction may violate that responsibility. Katie Kennedy, reporting for the Peninsula Press.